Once upon a time, in a secluded village nestled in the embrace of misty mountains and bordered by a river that flowed endlessly, the people believed in the sanctity of tradition. Their customs, passed down through generations, held the weight of truth. It was a truth as they understood it, unwavering, unchanging, and universal. To question this truth was unthinkable. It was like questioning the mountains or the river itself. To them, truth was as fixed and eternal as the land they called home. Yet among them was a young woman named Alia. She had always been different. Where others found comfort in certainty, she felt a yearning for something deeper, something unnameable that lay just beyond the familiar edges of village life. Alia's curiosity set her apart. She often found herself lost in thought, pondering questions that others dismissed as foolish or unnecessary. The village elders warned her that such thoughts would lead her astray, that there was safety in the known, in the answers handed down by those who had come before. But Alia felt a pull toward the unknown, a quiet whisper in her heart that told her there was more to the world, and perhaps more to truth itself. One evening, feeling the weight of her unspoken questions, Alia wandered to the edge of the village, to the river that had always fascinated her. It was dusk, and the sky was painted in hues of purple and gold, casting a warm glow over the water. She sat on the bank, watching as the river twisted and turned, flowing around stones and roots, shaping itself to the land, always moving, never still. In the gentle murmur of the water, she felt a strange kind of kinship, as though the river understood her restlessness. What if truth, she thought, isn't a stone to be held but a river to be followed? What if it changes, just as this river does, adapting and flowing? As she sat there, lost in thought, a figure appeared beside her. It was Felix, an older traveler known in the village for his strange tales and unconventional ideas. Felix was a wanderer, a philosopher, a man who carried more questions than answers. He was someone who didn't quite fit in, and perhaps that was why Alia felt drawn to him. "Lost in thought, Alia?" he asked, settling down beside her with a gentle smile. Alia nodded, her gaze drifting back to the river. Everyone here speaks of truth as something fixed, something unchanging. But watching this river, I can't help but wonder. Maybe truth is something. Felix's eyes sparkled with understanding. "Ah," he said softly, "you're beginning to see something that many spend their whole lives searching for. Some call it pragmatism, or more specifically, neo-pragmatism." Neo-pragmatism? Alia echoed, intrigued by the unfamiliar term. Felix nodded, settling into a comfortable position as he prepared to share his thoughts. Neo-pragmatism is a way of seeing truth not as a fixed destination, but as a journey we create together. Imagine that truth isn't an object waiting to be discovered, but something alive, something shaped by every word we speak, every choice we make. Neo-pragmatism invites us to see truth as something that grows and changes with us, much like this river. Alia felt a thrill of recognition, as if Felix's words were revealing something she had always known but never fully understood. She leaned forward, her eyes wide with wonder. "So, truth isn't something that exists outside of us, waiting to be found?" Felix's smile was warm and knowing. Exactly. For neo-pragmatists like Richard Rorty, truth isn't an objective reality that exists independently of human experience. Instead, truth is something we create. It's not about discovering a final answer, it's about finding ways of understanding that help us live together, that help us connect, and that bring meaning to our lives. They sat in silence for a moment, the gentle sound of the river filling the space between them. Alia felt as if she were on the brink of a great discovery, one that resonated with the questions that had always lived quietly within her. For the first time, she saw herself not as a passive seeker of knowledge, but as an active participant in the creation of meaning. As the night deepened, Felix shared stories of philosophers who had embraced neo-pragmatism, thinkers who saw truth as a living conversation rather than a static doctrine. He spoke of how Rorty and others believed that philosophy should not be about capturing an unchanging mirror of reality, but about creating a space where people could understand each other, where they could bridge. Imagine, Alia, he said, his voice filled with quiet intensity, that every conversation, every story, every shared moment is like a thread in a tapestry. We're not uncovering truths like archaeologists digging up relics. We're weaving something together, something that includes each of us, something that grows richer with every voice, every perspective. Alia felt a warmth spreading in her chest, a sense of belonging she hadn't realized she'd been missing. She looked out at the river, feeling as though it were no longer just a body of water but a reflection of her own journey, her own search for meaning. She thought of the villagers, of how they clung to certainty, to the comfort of knowing that truth was something solid, unbreakable. She wondered if they, too, might find freedom in this new way of thinking. But what about the truths we've always known? She asked, her voice soft and uncertain. Do they still matter? Felix's expression softened. Neo-pragmatism doesn't deny the old truths. It simply invites us to see them as part of a larger story. These truths served a purpose once, and they may still serve one now. But they're not the whole story. In neo-pragmatism, every truth is provisional, a piece of a living conversation that grows and changes with us. With those words, Felix rose, leaving his journal beside her. Here, he said, his smile warm, his gaze filled with a quiet wisdom. Keep this. I think you'll find many answers within these pages. Remember, Alia, truth is like the river at your feet, ever-flowing, unpredictable, and shaped by every stone it encounters. And perhaps that is what makes it beautiful.